Is that Dustin Khalegi? Builder extraordinaire, master of development.
How you doing?
Good to see you.
How are you?
Good.
So tell me about the vision for this project.
I think it was based on just wanting to do something that was modern and contemporary, but not in your face about it. Very Malibu-esque, not Hollywood Hills modern, but understated and very discreet with most of the aesthetics that we're going for, but very much pushing the envelope with design and architecture and taking a different approach to the typical spec house development. Elegant and more sophisticated than what I think the typical spec environment is like in Malibu and Brentwood, Beverly Hills area.
Yeah, I think people expect that here in Malibu. I think you're gonna expect probably a modern in Hollywood Hills, but here it needs to also feel like you're part of nature at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it's such a more, if you haven't been to Malibu, you don't realize that it's a lot of down-to-earth feeling to it.
This is like at its core like area and horse properties, and that's historically what it's been.
Right.
So, and obviously, yeah, it's very tranquil and very peaceful, and just being out here, you feel more connected to everything.
Yeah.
In the backyard, you see the beach and you can hear the waves crashing from frankly anywhere. You don't get PCH noise just because the ocean cut it out. People don't typically think about what Malibu really is at its core. It is kind of people who want that level of seclusion and people who want to be kind of by nature, but in a very accessible way, I think.
Yeah.
Having the market, a really strong community feel, I think is going to be really people who want a level of kind of experience of life.
Yeah. This was a big thing for you to take on because this is your first project, right?
Technically the first one, but not of this size. So definitely a significant undertaking, but definitely worth the risk. And if I didn't enjoy doing it, it would be a different experience. But obviously, I find it extremely enjoyable.
Yeah.
And people I have been exposed to and the guys that I got to develop relationships with has made it just an incredible experience.
Well, that's actually a really good point because you do have an incredible team. And Chris and I have never seen anything like it. Just every single person I've met that you have chosen to surround yourself with, they're just all like top, cream of the crop, so to speak, of people that anybody would want to be building their home. You know what I mean? From woodworkers or the architects to the designer.
And I think that if it was just a one-off house, you probably wouldn't have to spend so much time thinking through every single person that gets hired or every single person that does something on any one of the projects because we're gonna sell the house and leave, but it's a very different situation here.
Yeah.
We're gonna be living next door to whoever buys any one of the houses. So you're gonna have a pretty intense relationship that you don't get very often with you don't have that connection with who built the house and who designed it and and
you feel like whether it's the architect or the designer or carpentry guys, who it is, you can feel that. From my perspective, you can feel that in the energy and the excitement that they have for the project as well. And I think that's going to fold over into the product. And we put this on the market. When you're gonna feel that, and that has a story. And I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah, very minded people, all project managers and all the site supers could be architects and owners to their own right.
So their perspective is different.
Yeah,
you're just a one-off being hired to do one job.
Exactly. They come in each with their own idea and their own kind of goals and career goals, and all of that is very useful kind of the whole process.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just two people making a decision. It's truly everything is thought through and everything is considered.
You were just featured in the Wall Street Journal twice. For the protection that you're installing in the properties right now. But if you could touch on that a little bit, that'd be great.
Sure. So I think it's two things that you really want to focus on with fire protection and risk mitigation in mind. It's usually offensive and defensive measures. So offensive is really just how do you fight a fire? So it's having ample water available that you can access. And then defensive is more subtle. That's the type of building materials you use. That's what you do for landscaping, making sure you're not having open spots in your house, your building envelope, where birds can actually get in combustible materials.
Right, like the attic spaces.
Exactly. Simple as covering your gutters. That's a very straightforward thing, but that's
covering your gutters.
Vents, that little mesh that goes over the top of the gutter.
Got it.
Some of it is to code as in, you know, really a good job with new builds and new projects that they have to be very conscientious of risk mitigation when it comes to fire.
Sure.
So that's on the, you know, but again, just because it's required doesn't mean that 8 people do it. You know, they find ways around it and aesthetic purposes and all those things. But we think you can achieve all those defensive measures and have it not detract from the design. On the offensive front, we obviously have, you know, each house has a pretty significantly sized pool. You can connect or supply the house with a hose and a pump where you can suck water out of your pool. If you wanted to kind of out of the personal fire protection, which is kind of, I guess it's kind of trending. I don't know, for lack of a better word. Like people, I think, you know, those anecdotal stories of, you know, my house because I had a fire, a hose connected to my pool, and it's great and like it really works, but it's not full thing that somebody should be doing. And so we kind of beyond and provided a private hydrant that's connected to even more water, and that's, I think the benefit of that is you can use it yourself, and so we'll also supply a pump and a hose for that hydrant. But the main thing is if the department wanted to use it, they could actually use it. It's to code, it's permitted, inspected by the fire department, it's there.
Which normally would be.
No, it's a pretty unusual, frankly, to have like such an advanced system for one house. I think the things you're seeing lately are, like I said, pool draft. That's almost off the shelf at this point. Everybody's,
pretty common now.
It's a relatively common thing, particularly in Malibu, but having a separate setup that's industrial grade, you know, for a better term, that's to the next step. And also the, so that's on the private side, like within the property that a homeowner could use. I've also forgot to mention the public fire hydrants that we're installing. Those are along Trancas, and they're for, you know, the department exclusively.
Amazing. I think that it's why you've been interviewed and it's been drawn to you, because this is the kind of art. It's not something that everybody's doing yet. Not only are you coming into this community and building these houses, but you're also offering, you know, going to help other people around you too, the neighbors.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, the
selfish.
No, I don't think so. The public hydrants, those are, like I said, for in fire department. We're not using them ourselves.
So sustainability, if somebody wanted to be off-grid at this property, is that potential for that?
You're effectively off the grid. You have batteries and solar panels and your own private water well and your own water tank, your own water filtration system. You can be septic. You have septic as well.
Sounds like you're me, sir.
Propane. So you're not really exactly relying upon, frankly, any of the utilities except for water, but you could just use your well if you wanted to. We went the route of batteries instead of a generator because it's more sustainable.
Did you hear that? Batteries.
It's one of those things that it's good, you feel better, you're not thinking about a generator, it's not loud. You can use it all the time, whereas a generator is more like emergency use. The battery, you're actually using them every day. So you're storing the power that you gather during the day. You essentially shut off the power you're getting from the electrical utility at night. So you're really just using power you're generating from the sun.
That's pretty amazing.
So it just kind of fits into everything, you know, nature. Yeah, it's a kind of approach. Should be nice to close this one and move on to the next one. So.
Thanks, Dustin.